back to the YouTube channel called Socialist Starseed, where we talk about how socialism and spirituality go hand in hand. And in today's episode, we will be beginning a series that is going to be all about spiritual ascension. In this episode, we'll be talking more broadly about the process of spiritual ascension. But before we dive in, I want to cover some major astrological events that are happening right now, which actually inspired me to create this episode in lieu of the energy that the universe is presenting us with. And so with this awareness, we can kind of tap into this energy with more intention, and also in the same breath be able to manifest what we want according to the energy that is being provided at the moment. So on October 25th, we just had a partial solar eclipse in Scorpio. And so this eclipse is all about the metaphysical, mysterious, mystical, secretive soul knowledge that aligns with the characteristics of the Scorpio energy. So this eclipse season is meant to put a lot of pressure on our soul to evolve, but this specific eclipse within our eclipse season, this one is attached to our south node, and our south node carries a lot of our ancestral wounds, and right now these ancestral wounds are being brought to the surface so we can confront them collectively in order for us to heal. This will bring to attention our unconscious wounds that are repressed and keep us trapped in a dark, egotistical energy that is also very much tied to the energy that fuels the capitalistic paradigm. So we are all unconsciously colluding with this capitalistic system, and until we can build a collective movement to work together in order to seize our means of production and regain control of our economy as working class people, so we can improve our production cycle, not only to benefit us as working class people and make sure that we have our needs met, but also to heal the earth, to heal nature, to heal the animals that have been violated by this capitalistic system. So the pressure that we will be feeling is regarding the shadow sides of ourselves. So this includes the part of ourselves that carries our fears, insecurities that we have, ancestral trauma, and societal programming. And all of this will be brought to the surface in order to bring attention to how these shadow energies affect our ability to connect with others and the collective consciousness. So this whole process that we'll be going through within the eclipse season will almost be a process of spiritual vomiting, if you will. So Scorpio is all about the transformation of all the betrayal, rejection, neglection, suppressed emotions, jealousy, and need for control. And this is something that we will all be collectively feeling and experiencing. And this eclipse will be warming us up for the total lunar full moon eclipse that will be happening in the sign of Taurus on November 8th. So this eclipse, this partial solar eclipse, will be almost a warm-up to the energy that we'll be feeling during that Taurus eclipse. So that one will be bringing to culmination what we have been learning all year long, but especially what we have started to learn right now during this eclipse in Scorpio. So another beautiful synchronicity about this upcoming eclipse, that it will be the lunar full moon eclipse in Taurus. Taurus is connected to the Pleiadian star system. And this is one of the star systems that our ancestors from Kumari Kundam came from. And so the Pleiadian starseeds, or ancient souls, we are being awakened at this time. And there's a huge influx of Pleiadian starseeds that are on our planet right now, with the goal of really opening up our heart chakras collectively. And so Pleiadians have this gift that we have been using in our society for hundreds and thousands of years that we have existed here. And Pleiadians take on roles such as being teachers, being therapists, working within the community, helping the collective by helping the greater good. That is the essence of Pleiadian energies. We are here to facilitate the process of revolution and transmuting the systems of control that are currently in place. Taurus is also all about like stability, and that's what Pleiadians want to create, is a sense of stability and structure that involves all of the living beings living in harmony with one another, creating a stronger sense of spirituality and energetic entanglement. So now let's dive into spiritual ascension and the broader process, what that looks like. And then this will be part of a series of the spiritual ascension process, and we will be going step by step up through the chakra system of the spiritual ascension process. Now, mind you, spiritual ascension is not a linear process. It's very much cyclical, similar to the way that DNA strands are, curving in and out, coming back down, just very complex in that way. Nothing in our world is really linear. Everything is very cyclical and interconnected and entangled in that way. That is the process of spiritual ascension as well. This is also called the Kundalini energy as well. And so the Kundalini rising is very much linked to spiritual ascension, because that's what it is. It's about opening the chakras and allowing the energy to flow through you. And when you're allowing the energy to flow through you in a way that you can surrender yourself to the collective consciousness, you are more receptive, you're more open, you're more in tune and in harmony with the purpose of ourselves as humans, as a collective in this very moment. So spiritual ascension begins with the process of understanding and accepting the origins of our fears and insecurities within our ego self, until we can surrender to the collective consciousness. And so the ego self is simply a version of spirituality that forms our childhood experience. And it is a formative aspect of our spirituality. Because our society is so heavily based in ego, in this capitalistic paradigm, it is preventing society from collectively raising our consciousness. So we talked about this a lot in our last episode about how capitalism is very tied to the ego, whereas our transition to socialism is all about growing into the collective soul and how we're all so deeply interconnected, and remembering that we are all mirrors to one another. So when we hurt others, we're also hurting ourselves. A huge part of our spiritual ascension as humans is gaining macroeconomic and political awareness, so we can understand how these systems greatly affect our spirituality in our body, mind, and spirit. So without that grounding, we end up mirroring the narcissistic behavior patterns of the elite ruling class, who fundamentally do not believe in energetic reciprocity. And this behavior pattern was birthed in the colonial era, where our economy was fueled by genocide and slavery. And so that energy has continued to live on, because energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be redirected or transformed. And what we have been doing in this society for hundreds of years is just redirecting it in different ways. So, that's how conquering became colonizing, then became capitalism. So we're just renaming it and rebranding this energy, but the energy still remains the same. The only way that we can really transform that energy is by confronting it head on. That involves us all raising our awareness of where this energy comes from, how it exists in our society. Without that awareness, without us understanding those shadow parts of ourselves collectively, we just end up continuing to mirror that energy. So another thing is, people think when it comes down to revolutions that it's going to be this big explosive event where it's going to be head-on war and violence and all of this stuff, and then suddenly we're able to take down capitalism and it's over. And there has been uprisings that have happened like that in our past throughout our history, but they have not lasted long, and capitalists have been able to weasel their way back in and take over the general morality of how things are run. And so it's important for us to individually go through this process of really understanding what capitalism is through and through, what narcissism is through and through, the history of our society through and through, so we do not make the same mistakes again. And that is how we're able to transform our energy, by really having that deep awareness, so we do not make the same mistakes again by simply living unconsciously. You know, I think going with the flow, that type of mentality can be okay in certain instances, but in the instance of living under a capitalistic paradigm, going with the flow has done nothing but get us closer to a detrimental existence, you know, with climate change, with economic catastrophe, with all of these problems that are bringing us to the precipice of World War III. I think it's very, very important that we understand that capitalism is one of those things we can't just go with the flow about. It can only be rectified, it can only be cleansed from our system by us collectively coming together as working class people and realizing that there are so many more of us than this small group of elite ruling class people that are simply just using emotional abuse and financial abuse and energetic abuse in order to control us. And without that awareness, we can't really call this abusive relationship for what it is. We can't really name it for what it is. So it's important for us to understand these behavior patterns through and through so we can transform it. So this episode we'll be talking about the broader aspects of spiritual ascension, and then next episode we're going to be diving into the root chakra and how we can heal the root chakra. So let's talk about the broader goal of spiritual ascension. So the goal is for us to reunite with the collective consciousness. So spiritual ascension involves the process of melding our body, mind, and spirit centers in alignment with unconditional love and our interconnectedness to one another. The process of spiritual ascension is also related to the Kundalini energy, which is very synchronistic because the Kundalini energy is tied to the zodiac sign of Scorpio. And so if you look at Scorpio's symbolism of the M with the arrow at the end, that it all represents the undulating energy of the Kundalini flow. Kundalini energy is about this energy that flows through our chakra systems all the way from our root chakra up to our crown chakra. And now this isn't a linear process. It's very much, like I was saying, of that undulating energy. So, you know, it also kind of mimics like DNA strands, like kind of turning and twisting, going around and through, and can go all different directions because we might revisit chakras that we have already thought that we have healed because there's a part of it that hasn't been healed. But generally, the chakras are opening from your root in progression up through your chakras up to your crown chakra. Once our chakra systems are all opened and free of these blockages that are created by our fears and insecurities, this Kundalini energy is able to rise through our chakra system and therefore creating a complete transformation of our mind, body, and soul. And so now let's dive into each of the chakra centers and kind of just overviews about the energy that they hold, and then also whether it's related to the body, mind, or soul in that trinity. And so the first one we're going to start with is our root chakra. So the root chakra is at the base of the spine and tailbone area, and it centers physical identity, stability, and grounding. And this is related to, of course, our body self. Next, we have this sacral chakra. So the sacral chakra is right below the belly button and above the pubic bone, and it centers sexuality, pleasure, and creativity. And this also resides within our body self. Next, we have the solar plexus. So the solar plexus chakra is one of those transitionary chakras that kind of floats between the body and the mind. And so the solar plexus is up in the upper abdomen, stomach area right around here, and it centers self-esteem and confidence. Next, we have the heart chakra. So the heart chakra is in the center of the chest, just above the heart, and this centers love and compassion. And again, this is the chakra system that the Pleiadians have mastered and have, again, come to this earth to help us open, to help us realize what our bigger purpose is as humans on this planet at this very moment. And so the heart chakra, it centers love and compassion, and this resides in our mind self. Next, we have the throat chakra. So the throat chakra is another one of those transitionary chakras where it lives between the mind self and also the spirit self. And so the throat chakra, it's all about communication. Next, we have the third eye chakra. So the third eye chakra is right between your eyes on your forehead, and the third eye chakra is all about centering intuition and imagination. And so the third eye chakra is part of our spirit self. Next, we have the crown chakra. So the crown chakra is right on the very top of our head, and it centers awareness and intelligence, and it also resides in our spirit self. So now that we've gone through all the chakra systems, I wanted to make one more note. I think there is a lot of talk about like divine feminine and divine masculine in the spiritual community, which is very valid, but I wanted to bring in a detail that I'm not sure is very well known. So the divine masculine energy, it's the bottom three chakras. The divine masculine rules the root chakra, the sacral chakra, and the solar plexus chakra. And then the heart chakra kind of serves as a universal human chakra, but then the top three chakras are what we would consider the divine feminine chakras. So that would be the throat, third eye, and the crown chakra. So when you hear people talking about divine masculine, divine feminine energy, it has less to do with the sex organs, but more to do with the energy centers that it involves. And Alice wants to say hello as well. Okay, so on that note, I will be ending this video with just talking about the broader aspects of spiritual ascension, and next episode we'll be diving into the details of how to heal our root chakra in the process of spiritual ascension in this series. But again, before we end the episode, like we do for every episode, I will be pulling a card from the Sacred Sea Oracle deck. I talked about this deck in our first episode, and just really talking about the spiritual significance of this deck if you want to check it out. And also on that note, I do want to also say that a lot of the stuff that I talked in the very beginning of the episode about the astrological events that are happening, that information I got from the Moon Omens video that has been posted on YouTube. So I will link that video down below in the description box, so that way you can also check out that video and get much deeper insight on what this eclipse season entails, but more specifically the partial solar eclipse in Scorpio. So we have our deck. Let's see, so on the bottom So on the bottom of the deck, usually what's on the bottom of the deck is like what you don't see coming. So on the bottom of the deck, we have the Kundalini Sea Queen. How synchronistic, y'all. So let's just read into what the message is with the Kundalini Sea Queen, just so we can get more insight from the collective consciousness about what we don't see coming. Which is beautiful that it's a Kundalini Sea Queen. It makes me think that we are on the path of success. So it's the number 20. Okay, so the Kundalini Sea Queen. Command self-reliance. So literally That's what we've been talking about the process of spirituality, taking that personal responsibility to transform ourselves individually so we can show up for the collective fight in a way that is grounded, in a way that is certain and confident. That way we can make sure that we can cleanse capitalism and these narcissistic behavior patterns from our society and ultimately raise the morality of humans. So the affirmation, I hold within my own infinite healing capabilities. So this is something that I forgot to say earlier, but I think it's very important for us to realize that there are things that are out of our control, such as capitalism and how the elite run this world. But ultimately, there are things that we are capable of controlling, such as, just things that we have control over in our day-to-day lives, such as what we eat or what we consume, whether it's food or whether it's TV shows or social media or celebrity gossip or whatever. We do have control over those actions and those choices. It just involves us breaking out of that unconscious thought cycle. So it is my responsibility to own, claim, and co-create the resilient power I desire to hold and share with others. I came to Earth to know my power. Wow. I came to Earth to know my power, my life force energy, and to use it for the highest good of myself and others, and so I do. So with that being said, another reminder that I wanted to tell you is that when we go through the process of our Kundalini rising, we do unlock this deeper sense of energy, this more expansive sense of energy. So the Kundalini is tied to our life force. It's tied to what connects us to everything around us. It ties to our spiritual entanglement with all living beings on this planet. And the more spiritually entangled we are in the form of right relation with what's around us, the more life force energy that we have. And when we can unlock and access that life force energy, that is when we will have that endurance and that strength to keep this revolutionary fight going for as long as it takes to make sure that we can completely get rid of capitalism and birth in the era of socialism towards our destination, which is communism, and ultimately getting rid of money and capital. So let's shuffle this deck now that we've gotten what we don't see coming. So we have some great affirmation from the universe that we have access to this Kundalini awakening right now in our life, and we have the ability to manifest that if we so desire. And if you are seeing this message, that was specifically a message for you from the universe, from the collective consciousness. And I also wanted to mention, as I'm shuffling these cards, that part of the spiritual ascension process and building that relationship with the universe is fully trusting in the signs and guidance that you receive from the universe, whether it's through what others say to you or signs such as repeating numbers or names that you see or symbols. All of those are signs from the universe because we are all so interconnected, and the more that you go through your Kundalini rising process and the more energetically and spiritually entangled you become with the energy around you, the more seamless the signs that you get are. I am also going to link below a Moon Omens free PDF that I got a while ago that has been really helpful in my process of spiritual ascension. It's a repeating numbers guidebook, and so ask the universe for signs, and if you see any repeating numbers, this guidebook is very detailed and thorough in describing what all of the repeating numbers are, whether it's a single digit all the way up to 4 digits, and the significance of each of it. So yeah, I forgot to mention that earlier, so I'm glad I was reminded that. Okay, so I'm gonna call in spirit now. So dearest ancestors, dearest spirit guides, dearest sacred seat oracle, thank you so much for overseeing this act of divination. Thank you so much for helping the collective in this process of awakening. I am asking for some guidance for the collective that is watching this video at this time or at a later date, some advice from the universe of how they can utilize their energy at the moment and how they can utilize it in a way to increase their manifestation powers during this time. Please place the card that you wish to show the collective in order to help them for their highest good on top of the deck. Thank you so much, ancestors, spirit guides, and sacred sea oracle, and all spirits that are overseeing this act of divination. 1, 2, 3 more. 2 and 3. Okay. All right, so on top of the deck, wow, we have the Lemurian Sea Sanctuary. So this also is very synchronistic with what we were talking about with the Pleiadian star system. So the Pleiadian star system and Lemuria are tied because Lemuria and Kumari Kundam are actually the same thing. Lemuria is the same place as Kumari Kundam. It's just that Kumari Kundam was what all of my ancestors who are Tamil speaking, who I'm also Tamil speaking, they called it Kumari Kundam, and we were all gaslit for years and years by Europeans that this place didn't exist and it was a myth. And then it wasn't until the 1850s that there was a European scientist that discovered that there were lemurs that existed in Madagascar that were similar to the ones that existed in the western coast of India. And so from that discovery, he then correlated that there was a piece of land that connected Africa and India together, which is why it's called Lemuria. Regardless, it is about the sea sanctuary that is in Kumari Kundam, and below that it says remembrance. Okay, so this is the number 7, which is also about spiritual awakening. So let's look at what it means. So the affirmation is, I am connected to my divine feminine nature, and I know why I came to this incarnation. I am now able to access and fully express my soul's purpose within this lifetime on Earth. And remember, the divine feminine, as I said earlier, it is consisting of the top 3 chakras. That is the energy of the divine feminine. Again, it has nothing to really do with the sexual organs, but it more so has to do with the energy. So the sacred meanings, it's the divine feminine return. Yes, that Kundalini rising, so we can shoot through our crown chakra, reconnect with the collective consciousness. And that was what we were just talking about earlier. A huge part of our spiritual ascension process is working through the chakra systems from the divine masculine energies all the way up to the divine feminine energies, which honestly, the divine feminine energies have been so neglected in this capitalistic system. So it is so exciting that this is the message that we are receiving, the divine feminine return. Remembering your soul, spirit origin, paradise on earth, Lemurian memories, or I'd like to call them Kumari Kundam memories, soul essence, soul purpose activation, revival of your spirit, and know your soul. So the sacred message. The Kumari Kundam Sea Sanctuary is a sanctuary to honor the crystalline light bodies of the Kumari Kundam teaching left behind in crystallized form. The vibrations of this sacred space are so high they sound like crystal bowls and angels singing, and the lightness of the energy is pure, innocent, and playful. And this energy goes hand in hand with the Pleiadian energy as well. There's a lot of correlations that people have talked about with that light, sing-songy energy. of Pleiadians and how that relates to the energy that existed on Kumari Kundam as well here on Earth. This is a perfect place to retreat to when you are feeling lost and downtrodden, to revive your soul spirit essence and remember why you actually have decided to come to Earth in the first place. Access this powerful haven through the sacred sea ritual below. So the sacred sea ritual. Are you ready to remember why you are here, what you are meant to share, and how you can gracefully re-enter any difficult situation you may be in the midst of? Get into a relaxed, meditative state. Then open your eyes and look deep into this card. Let your mind wander into the center of the image and into the heart of the Kumari Kundam Sea Sanctuary, which is how you access the crystalline core within your being. Feel the gentleness of the air around you, the calmness of the water within your body, the smoothness of the sand that makes up your bones, and the pureness of your soul's true essence. Revel in these subtle energies that make up the entire universe that is you, your body, and your mind. That spiritual ascension, that melding of the body, mind, and spirit. From this place of consciousness, you can choose to access any Kumari Kundam memory that may be available to you. Ask that only that of pure divine love and light energy come forward to guide you so you can trust the impressions that come forth. Ask questions to your soul here and allow your inner being to answer back. Notice what messages are shared. Remain here for as long as you'd like to. Then when you are ready to return, follow your steps back to the portal entrance at the beginning of this visualization and send deep gratitude to the Kumari Kundam Sea Sanctuary and any guides that supported you on this journey. Be sure to write what impressions surfaced for you for further contemplation. Wow. What a synchronistic and absolutely on point message that was. It covered so many things that we talked about, from what was on the bottom of the deck, the Kundalini Sea Queen, all the way to how that also tied to this and the Divine Feminine return, that Kundalini sequence that leads us to the Divine Feminine return collectively. And then beyond that, just understanding what our soul's purpose is, what we've been sent down here to do, which again ties back to that partial solar eclipse in Scorpio, that transformation, that getting rid of the shadow parts of ourselves so we can truly live in our purest essence and what it means to be human. So all of those messages were absolutely so synchronistic. I hope that resonated with you as well. And on that note, I will be closing out this video. Thank you so much for tuning in. If this did resonate with you, please like, share, and subscribe. And the next video will be released on November 12th at midnight, and that one will be covering the next part of this series, which will be diving into the first chakra system, the first chakra center, which is the root chakra. So we will be talking about how to heal it and how that healing will play a very key role in our Kundalini rising or spiritual ascension. And I really look forward to talking to you about that. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful 2 weeks, and I look forward to seeing you then. Namaste.